astronaut training program works on sort of targeting the vestibular system. They call it the visual, auditory, vestibular triad. So you're working on improving a child's ability to process sensory information. Overall, a side byproduct can be working on improving attention, focus, and being able to process different movements around you. A lot of kids that I see from day to day have a hard time with movement, either their gravitational insecurities or just being moving around. They're not always aware of where their body is in space. So by working on that sort of three components of the mind, you're strengthening and helping them process movement. And by being able to process movement, understand all those different components to go into recognizing where you're in space, the sensory aspects, the actual movement. By doing that and enhancing that, you actually have a better chance, and a lot of times I've seen some improvements with a child's focus and be able to work through movement and not having it bother them so much.
And what is the difference between just doing the astronaut training versus just using a swing?
So with the astronaut training program, you're working on developing sort of an improved understanding of that movement. To do a regular swing, it's not as controlled. With this, you're actually controlling the movement to a specific sort of rotation versus time, and you're incorporating sounds, and those sounds activate that auditory system within their mind with specific movements and how they're positioned on the actual turntable, so to speak. You're targeting specific parts of the brain with semicircular canals. You're positioning them in different ways. With the different ways, our mind is able to process movement. So by doing that while listening to sounds, is sort of activating and stimulating a more adaptive response.
Does the rotations of the board have to be a certain speed?
Yes, it's two rotations, one rotation for every 2 seconds, sorry. One rotation for every 2 seconds. Yep.
And did you go to specialized training for this? Or?
I did some training on that to try to learn how to use it to make sure I understood the process behind it and the sort of anatomy and physiology of how the mind works and how to improve a child's ability to process that vestibular movement with some thinking about the attention piece and the basic sensory skills that kids need from day to day to be able to function.
And then what type of if parents were coming with different problems for their child, like what would you recommend? This helps with attention and focus. And
Yep. It can be sort of two different ends. Sometimes kids who are hypersensitive to movement, so any sort of like riding in a car, kids get really dizzy, they can get car sick. Kids who are very low register, they don't really register movement at all, so they can be bumping into objects, they can be falling down a lot because they're not aware of that movement and processing where their body is in space. Was two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. And sort of some of that byproduct by working on that is to improve attention, sensory processing, understanding where their body is in space. Overall, I've had some kids who just can improve their ability to maintain attention to a task, and in turn, I've had one girl I've been working with for quite a while with this program who actually has improved her grades.
Wow, improved her grades in school.
So
wow.
because she can maintain more attention, she understands where her body is in space. It's not so threatening movements and sounds because her body is, in my feeling and in my theory, that by understanding all those different aspects and becoming more of an adaptive response, she has improved her ability to maintain attention. So by improving attention, I feel like she's actually been able to improve her ability to learn.
Is there how many sessions do you think it takes?
It can vary from child to child. It depends on where they are with how they process sound, movement, and that sort of the visual component mixed in. It can range anywhere from, say, seeing a kid, let's say twice a week. I would say usually it takes probably a couple of months before you really start seeing some real improvements, but again, it can vary from child to child. I've seen progress with some kids as soon as 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
And I've been doing it with some kids for much longer, so it can really vary. It depends on the overall dynamic and what the functionality of the child is.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Bye.